My theory is why. So Nick Offerman owns the rights to Lincoln and the Bardo. My theory to why he buys it, so no one would ever make a movie.
I think sometimes if you love a property that much, you buy it just to basically film block people.
Yeah. And I've heard Michael Schur say that he had been working on an idea, and I think at this point maybe he's just wants to hold on to it so someone doesn't.
Somebody else can't.
I hope he doesn't.
Do you think that potentially like a limited run series could be made out of it?
I think it would be better that way, but I also think it wouldn't be.
Still,
they wouldn't do it justice.
Okay.
And as much as I love film, not everything needs to be a film.
There are very few. So if I've enjoyed a film and I find it's made, that its source is a book, like for instance, I love The Natural. Never read the book. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes if you love a film on its own before you've read the book, I'm not interested in reading the book at that point because I have a feeling that it would take away from my enjoyment of the film. The very, very few times have I watched a film and read the book and thought that they were, like, for some reason, I think About a Boy and High Fidelity are both films that I really enjoy, either as much or, in the case of High Fidelity, possibly more than the book. And I'm a huge Nick Hornby fan.
Yeah, but I think when a Hornby book is done, or Hornby book is done well, like of the ones I've read, like High Fidelity, Long Way Down is not
a good film.
Not good. It wasn't one of his best books either.
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think the only other book and that's blown my mind, and then to have a movie even blow it even more is Fight Club. Like, I read Fight Club, the book.
I love the film Fight Club. I've never read the book.
The book will blow your effing mind. Like it kind of re-scrambled my brain a little bit too, and as you learn more about Chuck Palahniuk and like where that book came from.
I think I've told my story about having met Chuck Palahniuk before. Yeah,
I think you have, and I think I've met him too. So he gives something away to like people who ask him a question.
Oh, you told that story. I told the one where he was in the bookstore that I was working at, which is long gone. But he came in and basically drew a mustache on the author photos in all the books because they used a photo he told them he didn't like.
That sounds like something he would do.
And to relate this to Wallace, which I could do almost everything. When I was reading that Michael Schur quote earlier about sincerity, I feel like the literature that was cool when we were 20-something was like Bret Easton Ellis, and it was Palahniuk. And they're on such an opposite end of the spectrum of like postmodern, ironic, cynical, that when I read that, I feel worse about myself. Like, I'm already starting from a point of cynicism, and I need the antidote to that. And on the way other end of the spectrum is the sincerity of David Foster Wallace and Infinite Jest.
See, now you've really sold it, because Ellis, as much as I like American Psycho, I do not like Bret Easton Ellis as a person.
There's quite a rivalry between the two of them. Still,
is there?
Ellis still talks shit about Wallace on his podcast and
we
Twitter.
Could talk about that for so the Ellis that I've read, I've only actually read, I think I have 3 Ellis books, and I've only read 2 of them. I've read Less Than Zero, and I've read Rules of Attraction. I've not read or seen American Psycho.
You should see the movie.
There's something about Ellis's work where I can't. It hit at a time where I read both of those Ellis novels, and then I read Bright Lights, Big City by Jay McInerney too. You know, it's and I end up liking McInerney a little bit more. I think McInerney's a better writer, but. It's that writing of just like the worst qualities in people too. Like nobody, Rules of Attraction or Less Than Zero, nobody in there do you feel like that's somebody that you want to know, yes, all of them are just the most awful fucking people to each other.
I would argue you should at least make the attempt to watch American Psycho, because it doesn't follow there's a feminist twist to it.
That's one that I keep thinking I'll read the book first. I think Ellis as a person is kind of interesting, and I'm more interested in like things that he's said in interviews and stuff, or like, you know, when I've heard him speak, then now I'm interested in his writing. I haven't read I think I tried reading Imperial Bedroom mostly because it was named after my favorite Elvis Costello record.
Also, Less Than Zero.
Yeah, Less Than Zero named after but
like they're sequels, right? Like Less Than Zero, like Imperial
Bedroom is supposed to be a sequel to Less Than Zero, yeah, which is why the Costello naming convention. But there's a point at which I just think he's. It turned me off after a little while. Every
interview I've read, and especially the last one with the New Yorker, with Ellis, I think it was like a few months ago. Just makes me think he's just not. He's a person who just likes attention. He's a narcissist.
WTF interview is pretty interesting.
I haven't listened to that one, but he just feels like a narcissist to me, which is why when you mentioned Ellis, Wallace being the antithesis to Ellis, like, oh, I'm on board.
Sold in the room.
Sweet. All right. Okay.
Thanks for the TED Talk.
Thank you, Chris, for being our resident Wallace expert. And this is actually I kept trying. I keep keeping an eye on the timer on this. This is still under an hour and a half, which means for us this is a tight episode.
Wow, it felt like 4 hours.
It's
That's because you had to listen to 20 minutes on the Eagles.
That's true. 20 minutes on the Eagles can feel like hours.
We have. I say one of these days we're going to start talking about Fleetwood Mac, and that's going to be the 4-hour episode.
Okay. Let's not get into that right now because I could go on about that. I like Fleetwood Mac.
I do too. No, there's no argument for me there. But
okay. And I'm very interested.
I'm very steeped in.
We're going back to Mike Campbell and Neil Finn. I'm very interested in hearing the latest incarnation of Fleetwood Mac, despite the fact that I like Lindsey Buckingham, but
Fleetwood Mac is probably probably not only like one of my favorite bands, just one that I'm so steeped in the knowledge in that maybe we could just go.
Someday, it'll be Fleetwood Macking with
Fleetwood Macking with Jason Jarrett.
All right, thank you, Chris Ayers, Phoenix Film Collective. Be sure that you guys have a Patreon too.
We do have a Patreon,
so hit that up.
Oh, one more thing to plug that I forgot to mention at the top.
All right.
PoorYorkEntertainment.tumblr.com,
which is where you can see the David Foster Wallace art.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Keep it sleazy.
Oh, that's right. No, take it sleazy.
It's sleazy.
We can't. It's a play on the freaking Take It Easy Eagles thing. You guys, we talked about the Eagles for 20 minutes. Take it sleazy, Fork Buddies. This has been a Hoon Waddle production. If you enjoyed this podcast, why not check out one of our other fine podcasts available from hootenwaddle.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any number of podcast apps. If you'd like to support Hoot and Waddle and get access to an exclusive member-only podcast, receive discounts on merch, and more, go to patreon.com/Hoot and Waddle.